Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has received the Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov in Cairo, marking the first ever Kyrgyz presidential visit to Egypt. The two leaders held bilateral talks following an official reception and signed two memoranda of understanding. President el-Sisi hailed the visit as a milestone for expanding cooperation, welcoming Kyrgyzstan's decision to open an embassy in Cairo as a strategic step to deepen economic, trade and investment ties. Discussions also addressed joint manufacturing prospects, religious dialogue to counter extremism and regional issues, including Egypt's ongoing efforts to sustain the Gaza ceasefire and host an international conference on early recovery and reconstruction later this month. Egyptian Defense Minister and Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief General Abdelmajid Sadr has affirmed that Egypt has chosen peace and its strategic path, believing it to be the foundation for stability and development. Speaking during a military inspection of a central military zone formation, he emphasized that peace must be safeguarded by strength, noting Egypt's continuous modernization of training and weapon systems across all branches. Sadr conveyed President el-Sisi's appreciation to the troops for their readiness and morale. The event showcased advanced weaponry, aerial displays, and the participation of university students, highlighting Egypt's defense capabilities and commitment to protecting national security. Cairo will host the Egypt Gulf Cooperation Council Trade and Investment Forum on the 19th and 20th of November 2025 under the title Launching a Partnership Road Towards Strengthening Egyptian Gulf Economic Cooperation. Organized by Egypt's Ministry of Trade and Industry and the GCC Secretariat in cooperation with several Egyptian institutions, the forum, held under the patronage of Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and GCC Secretary General Jassim al-Budaiwi, aims to deepen economic ties, expand trade and promote investment opportunities in Egypt. The Egyptian Foreign Ministry added that the event will feature ministers, investors and business leaders, B2B and B2G meetings, and investment exhibition and field visits highlighting major projects in industry, energy, infrastructure, tourism, and sustainable development. Egypt has dispatched its 66th aid convoy under the Zed al-Izza Provision of Honor from Egypt to Gaza initiative from Rafah to Gaza via the Karm Abu Salam border crossing. The convoy transports over 250,000 food baskets, 1,000 tons of flour, and 2,200 tons of medical and relief supplies, along with 1,200 tons of fuel to the Gaza Strip. This effort forms part of Egypt's ongoing humanitarian support to Gazans. Since its first launch on July 27th, the Egyptian initiative has delivered thousands of tons of food, medicine, baby formula, and fuel. That comes as the Egyptian Red Crescent, serving as the national coordination mechanism for Gaza aid, remains stationed at the never-closed Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing, managing logistics and mobilizing 35,000 volunteers to deliver over 500,000 tons of assistance. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres urged an immediate halt to violence in Sudan and warned the crisis is rapidly worsening, while also denouncing ongoing ceasefire violations in Gaza. Speaking in Doha on the sidelines of the Second World Summit for Social Development, Guterres called for an urgent cessation of hostilities in Sudan, expanded humanitarian access, and protection of civilians amid escalating needs. He also cautioned the reported breaches of the Gaza ceasefire risk unraveling hard-won progress, urging all parties to adhere to the truce, facilitate aid and support a sustainable political track.
It's time for peace. Call for an end to the flow of weapons and fighters into Sudan, which is making a desperate situation.
Gaza-based health authorities have announced that the death toll from Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip has climbed to over 68,800 and over 170,600 were wounded. The Gaza Ministry of Health has reported that hospitals in the Gaza Strip have received 3 dead and 2 others injured in the past 24 hours. Crowds of displaced Palestinians lined up at a soup kitchen in Qnews. Many said the meals were their only source of food after months of war. Aid agencies warned that too little relief is reaching Gaza, where famine was declared in August and winter is setting in. The World Food Programme says only about half the needed food supplies are entering, while local authorities report just 145 aid trucks arriving daily, far below the 600 stipulated in the ceasefire deal. Students at Gaza City's Al-Azhar University registered for the return of in-person classes under the ceasefire, with administrators reporting intake above pre-war levels. Al-Azhar University began phased re-enrollment ahead of on-campus teaching using staggered timetables, ID verification and blended learning to manage large numbers and damaged facilities. The deputy head said first-day registrations surpassed the pre-war baseline of roughly 4,000 entrants per academic year. Repairs, lab checks and psychological support continue in coordination with education partners, while officials cautioned that schedules depend on security conditions and reliable power and connectivity. Israeli occupation forces have killed 7,000 laying hens in a raid on a poultry farm in Omar-Rihan, west of Jenin, highlighting a stark display of lethal force that shows no distinction between humans and animals under occupation. Jamel Kamel-Zid said that soldiers electrocuted the 4-month-old hens before an Israeli bulldozer destroyed the 1,000 square meter facility, causing losses estimated at over 500,000 shekels. Majdi Zid, head of the village council, said Israeli military vehicles accompanied by the bulldozer raided the village, carried out the killings and demolished the farm. The property is located behind the separation barrier near the town of Yabad. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati has reaffirmed Egypt's firm support for Sudan's unity and stability, stressing joint regional and international efforts to achieve a nationwide ceasefire and ensure humanitarian access. That came during his calls with his Saudi, Jordanian and Turkish counterparts to discuss developments in Gaza and Sudan. The Egyptian Foreign Minister also condemned recent violations in Al-Fashir. On Gaza, he emphasized Egypt's ongoing efforts to uphold the Sharm el-Sheikh peace agreement and preparations for Cairo's upcoming International Reconstruction and Recovery Conference.